What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Let's fix this fucking camera and make this shit square. Alright, so we have something to talk about tonight. And, I don't know if actually I've seen people talk about this. Again, let's fix this thing. Make that shit square. It's hard to line that thing up tonight, isn't it? Anyways. So, I don't know if I've actually heard anybody talk about this. And I don't know if they've never experienced it, which I want to feel like they have. Or maybe they don't have a scientific study to back it up, which I know a lot of people like to have, and they don't talk about anything unless they have some kind of science, which I'm sure there's science to back this up, but I will have to go with bro science for now because that's just how I understand it. Anyways, so fatigue and mental fatigue and what it can do to your goals, your physique, and anything, any endeavor, whether it's starting a business, whatever it is. And I'm gonna give you guys beginning, middle, and end of this whole thing. I had a client that actually just hit me up about 20 minutes ago. Had something pretty big time happen in his life with his family, and it really hit him hard, right? And he was just like, but that was last week. Like, I want to get back on track, and let's just keep pushing forward. And I've had people do that, like they just want to stay busy, and I myself have done that, and I get it. What it does is it slows down the processing of information. So when you have something that's really hard to process, like either you want to go to sleep or keep yourself busy. For me, I want to sleep. I can't eat. Like I can't. I have zero appetite. I don't want to eat at all. And I either want to go to sleep, and then the things that I want to do when I'm awake, I want to be so busy that I can't think. And the little breaks that I have, I'll be able to process little bit amounts, and then I'll be able to go back to what I'm doing to be busy or go back to sleep. I'll be able to slow down the processing or slow down the information coming at me from the horrible thing that's just happened so that I can understand it and go through all the processes of maybe grieving or finding solutions or whatever the case may be, or just getting over the horror of whatever happened. So, trying to explain this to him, I'm pretty sure he understood that. But now I had to make him be aware that when he goes back to the gym, even though this is in the past, like a week or two in the past, the physical, emotional, and mental stress that is put on you when something happens, it is so horrible in your family, to you, whatever the case may be, that now takes your energy output and cranks it down a few notches. So let me explain what I mean. So the last time I prepped for a competition, I was definitely not at my best. I knew it was my last competition, and I gave it everything I had. It was only a 3-week prep, so let's be real. You know what I mean? How hard could I push within 3 weeks? But I did what I could in 3 weeks as hard as I could. But I was also aware that I was giving it was not 100%. Because I didn't have 100% to give. That was my last ever show. I knew that I wasn't going on stage again. It was in Woodbridge, the Max Muscle in Woodbridge. I think it was 2017 was the last year I competed. And I knew what I was getting myself on. I knew what would happen. I knew I would be subpar. I knew all of that. But it was because my father had just recently died a few months before. And that really, sent me down a place where I was not good. I wasn't in a good headspace. So for me, my whole life, what I've done since I was a teenager was something bad happens, I jump into a contest prep. So that's exactly what I did. I jumped into the contest prep, and that took care of my processing it for a couple of months. You know what I mean? Because I had 3 weeks that I did the show, and then I had 3 weeks of what I considered a reverse diet to try to stay lean. So I had, 3 weeks of that. So I had about a month and a half, 2 months of slowing down that processing like that. And even just the 3 weeks alone actually really helped getting ready for the show, to be totally honest with you. And then, that was I was done competing. Now, I understood that I really actually didn't want to compete again. Like, I was actually pretty much done when I did Universe, the year that I did Universe, which I think was 2016 or 2016 I did it. I was like, I'm pretty good. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't really want to compete anymore. And then my dad died, and it led me down that road. Now, how I knew before I even started that prep that I was going to not be at my best, that's another part of the story. So we have to go back to 2009. Yeah, 2009, my girlfriend and I break up. And I moved from Rhode Island down here with her. So I moved my entire life away from my friends, my family, everything down to Maryland, away from Rhode Island. And we broke up now. So everybody that I was really I knew and grew up with was back home, but I'd been down in Maryland for 4 years already. So I started thinking, going home back to Rhode Island, I don't know. Should I stay down here? I built a couple businesses down here. Okay, now everything that I do doubles in price because I'm on my own now, right? We split everything. So you have the money factor, you have the fact that your support system is not here anymore. She was just my support system, pretty much all I had. I had my friends here that were new friends, But I had the people that I grew up with back home, and my family and stuff was back home. All the people that I kind of grew up with and kind of knew about me were back home, right? So that being said, what is this thing over here? That being said, I then jumped into a contest prep because that's what I do when I'm not doing well, right? When I'm emotionally not doing well, physically not doing well, whatever. I jump into a contest prep. So as I started doing this contest prep, a good friend of mine, Kevin Lavroni, decided that it was important for him to be involved with this every day, not just because of the show, because I think he knew that I was struggling to begin with, and it wasn't really about making a decision about moving. I was struggling with the fact that like I felt alone. Even though I had friends around me, I felt alone because back home I had grown up with those people. I knew them my whole lives. These were my new friends, and yes, I absolutely love my new friends, and I love the people that I know now. But when I was first getting to know them, you just don't know if something's going to happen, and most of them weren't from around here. So, they want to come in here for school, for jobs, whatever, and a lot of times when that's done, they leave, right? So they go back to their families, they go back to their, their other jobs, or they get another job not here. They're contracted for X amount of weeks or months or years or whatever, and then they're gone. So I'm like, I very well could wind up here with none of my friends and my girlfriend. So now I'm like in trouble, right? And Kevin knew that. And he just kind of took over that big brother role, and he just stepped in, and every single day he'd call me in the morning, about 8:30 in the morning, he'd be like, hey, did you do your cardio yet? And I'm like, oh, no, dude, I'm not even awake. He's like, well, you got to be at the gym at 11. So you need to get up, do that cardio so you can have your first meal before you train. So I get up. So anyways, we did that whole thing. So Kevin was with me through the whole prep, right? We get to the show, and I get 4th place in Pittsburgh in the heavyweight class. Now, Pittsburgh's a huge show. When you stand on stage, MD is there, Flex Magazine's there, Muscle and Fitness. I mean, they were all there. All the Olympic competitors were there, front row watching you. Anybody's in the industry is at Jim Manion show at the Pittsburgh. That's just all there is to it, right? Pittsburgh Pro is going on there, and we have the Pittsburgh Championships attached to it. So I get 4th in a class that I was the lightest guy in the class. I was literally 199 and 199 and a quarter, I think. So I need to be 198 and a quarter to get into the light heavies, and I got into the heavyweights, a lot bigger guys than me, and I placed 4th, which was, to me, surprising. It was the hardest show I had done. It was a very, hard lineup, especially going up against the bigger guys. And it was after that I realized, and I thought I looked probably the best I'd ever looked, right? Which I felt that was one of the packages that I brought that I really looked one of my best in. And Kevin says, hey, man, I'm real proud of you for pushing and giving what you had. I said, yeah, man, I gave this thing 100%. He said, no, you didn't. And I'm like, what do you mean? I said, yeah, I did. I busted my ass every day. He goes, oh, yeah, you busted your ass. He goes, but you didn't give it 100%. He's like, how could you? I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you're trying to tell me that every morning you got up and you are 100% mentally focused and ready to give 100% of all your energy. Like, if I die under that bar trying to squat, then I die. Fuck it. And you gave it 100% every single day with double cardios, no carbs, and losing your girlfriend, and not having any money, and having to move into another place, and I didn't have a car at the time. He's like, and it was just like bang, bang, bang. All these things had happened, and I was just kind of like keeping them all at bay. I was balancing them, but balancing them takes energy, right? It wears you down, it depletes you. So you're like, fuck, I'll go to the gym and push as hard as I can, which you may be giving 100% of what you have, but what you have is only 80% of what you're capable of. And that, a switch flipped, and I was like, holy shit, that's a big part of, how the body preserves its energy, right? It'll give you what it can, but it can't give you what it doesn't have. So if you have something like, a friend of the family passed away, one of your family members is sick, your mom broke her leg walking down the stairs, your dog died, whatever the case may be. When that happens, there's energy coming out of you. You're losing energy just processing that. Feelings, emotions, thoughts, all these things. Adrenaline is higher. You're heightened. Your senses are heightened during this time because you are in a state of almost like panic. It's like you're in a not an emergency state. Well, I guess you are in an emergency state, but you're scared. You're scared about what just happened. You're upset about what just happened. You're emotional about it. So now you go to get under a squat bar, even if it's the next day, the day after, the shit's still going on. Like, it's still in your head. Like her and I had the breakup, it happened kind of quickly, like kind of out of the blue. Well, I had about 8 weeks to the show, right? And I was already dieting and I was going to do the show anyways. But that 8 weeks, I didn't have what I had the previous 8 weeks before we broke up, I had more to give, right? And I didn't understand because you still feel like you're giving it, but you're capable of so much more, but you can't access it because your body and brain are using it for other things. Like the body and brain can only produce so much and only do so much before it just shuts down. And when I get to that point, I just want to sleep. Like if I get to the point where I can't push any harder, I can't comprehend things, I can't process things, I can't, so much is coming on, I just go, fuck it, and I lay down and go to sleep. When I wake up, I'll figure it out, whatever the hell it is. I need to just shut down and just get away from it. Like it's almost like a coping mechanism to where I just go to sleep sometimes. So I've done stuff like that too. And now, of course, I used drugs in the past, I used alcohol in the past. So I've got a little bit of experience in many different facets of how this works. But you have to be aware that if you have something going on in your life, you and your wife had a big fight, you left for work, you went to the gym before you go home. When you get in the gym, you may not perform like you think you're going to because you're already thinking about what's going on at home. And even if you're not, you're thinking, it's in the back of your mind. You know what I mean? You have to settle things when you go home. You have to fix things with your wife. You argue, whatever you're going to do. But it's still there. So while you're not focusing on that, it's still there taking up energy. It's still processing. It's like the computer, like that little thing that's spinning on your computer. That's what's happening in your head. That little fucking pinwheel thing on your Mac is spinning right now while you're working on it at the same time. It's like you have a program running on your computer while you're doing something else, and it's trying to load that one. You know how they kind of get stuck like that? Not stuck, but it keeps spinning. It takes a while for that one to load. It's because you're processing two different things. You're going through two different things of energy being used by the computer. It's happening up here too. Same type of thing. So you may not have that to give. Now, there's times where, you may feel like, oh, I don't have anything going on. I don't know what the case is. I mean, could it be sleeping patterns? Could be other things. So there's a bunch of different ways to try to understand what could be reducing energy output, power output, or workout effectiveness based on what's going on in your life. But be aware, like, if your sleep patterns are okay, oh, I slept really good last night. You have a fight with your significant other, it could throw your entire day off, right? You have a death in the family. Man, I don't care how much you sleep. You have a death in the family, you still feel drained. And I can, try to explain that there's different types of drain. There's mental drain, where if you sat at a computer all day long and you were doing emails all day long, you go home at the end of the day, like, oh, I'm so tired. And then, your wife looks at you and goes, you sat in your ass all day. You know what I did all day? I fucking walked. Maybe she's a tour guide for the fucking Grand Canyon. She walks all day, right? She's like, I'm fucking tired. Realistically, you're both tired. It just draws energy out of two different ways. So if you're going to the gym trying to produce physical energy, but mentally you're using a lot of that trying to process bad things and shit that's happened, the gym may not work out. Even though you think you're giving it all you can, you don't even realize that your brain is capable of separating those things and working on both of them at the same time. Even though you're focused on doing this and trying to, produce energy and have a good workout, your brain is still doing that stuff in the background, which is taking some of the energy and the time and the, the emotion, everything. It's taken in the back of your head. So you're automatically a little bit shorter with what you have moving forward with other things. And that's something to be aware of. So be aware, guys, not all the time do things not happen for people because they're lazy or they're doing it wrong or they're just being stupid about what they're doing or whatever the case may be. Sometimes they are giving it 100% that they really feel like they're giving, but they only have 80 to give. They only have 70% to give. I don't know. Different things happen, right? But their work output is diminished by whatever stress is going on in their life that's reducing that. And even though they give it hell, they give it all they got, it's just not up to par. So there has to be different ways to manage stress, but the bottom line is being aware that these things are going on helps you navigate that a little bit, right? So if you have a bad workout, you don't really worry about it because you had all this other stuff going on. And what you do is, you try to piece together the things that you need to fix what's going on in your life. What I needed to do is I needed to find another place to live after the breakup. I needed to make sure everything was separated with our names and stuff like that. I had my 2 dogs, so I needed to make sure that there was a place that took the dogs and they were cool with that. I had to make sure I had food for the dogs and stuff. And now I had to make sure that it was just me taking care of them. So I had to make sure my schedule was situated so I'm not home away from home longer than 2 hours at any given time, so I could be back for them, right? So what it did was it allowed me to do all that stuff while I was training at the same time. It was allowing me to kind of set up my life while I was training at the same time. And my body was taking shape, but now I realized after talking to Kevin that I could have been better. I might have maintained a little bit more muscle mass. I probably would have been leaner. Like you can always be leaner. I probably would have been leaner. There was a bunch of different things that could have changed where my effort would have been increased because my output would have been increased because I would have been mentally healthy and well. And when that doesn't happen, it changes that. So, like I said, guys, be aware. There's a lot that goes into bodybuilding besides pick weights up, put them down. The people that say that stuff and say stuff like, just eat your calories, I'm like, fuck you guys. You don't have a clue. You guys have no fucking clue what you're talking about, because when it comes down to brass tacks, this is the shit that separates the people who keep doing this, sometimes go on to do this well, sometimes just keep doing it because they love it, and people that walk away from it confused when they don't get what they want out of it, which is fame, fortune, and being all over Instagram as Insta famous. That's the difference. The people that think calories are what it's all about, and the other people that understand that there's a lot more that goes into bodybuilding than just a calorie or picking up a weight and putting it down. BioStreetTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStreetTraining.com is a blog. It's the pick it up and put it down, but this stuff's important, bicep, and we are